Do you want to know what the most dangerous conquered objects are? Watch this video. Number 5. I'll start with the most famous doll, Annabelle. If you've seen the Conjuring movies, you'll know about a couple named Ed and Lorraine Warren. They used to rescue people and collect possessed objects, creating a museum in their own home. Lorraine has said that the most terrifying thing in that museum is Annabelle. She believes that the doll is so heavily possessed that even looking at it can be dangerous. That's why they keep Annabelle in a specially made box to contain its negative energy. They even shake the box if they need to move the doll. There's even a priest who visits every week to bless the environment, especially Annabelle. All these measures are taken to prevent the devil inside Annabelle from escaping. The story of Annabelle begins in 1970 when someone gifted the doll to a nurse. The nurse becomes fond of the doll to the point where she starts talking to it and takes it everywhere she goes. After a while, the nurse and her roommate start experiencing strange things related to Annabelle, so they decide to take the doll to a medium to find out what's going on. The medium tells them that there is the spirit of a 6-year-old girl named Annabelle who had died in a car accident and is in need of help. However, this turned out to be a lie, and the spirit was just manipulating them. Nevertheless, with limited information, they start treating the doll very carefully. Some time passes, and they witness strange events where objects break and Annabelle moves and even laughs. The problem starts when the roommate wakes up from a nightmare in terror. The owner of Annabelle asks her what happened, and she says that she dreamt that Annabelle slowly approached her and suffocated her. The nurse reassures her that it's just a doll and does nothing to harm her. She throws Annabelle into a corner of the room, saying that it's just a doll and won't do anything to her. But immediately after, the nurse gets large scratches on her body and blood starts flowing. That's when they realize that this spirit is not that of a child, but a very malevolent and powerful entity that could cause such harm. Right there, Ed and Lorraine find Ad and take the doll away with them. However, since they were not yet sure how dangerous the doll really was, they put it in the museum without a box. One day, a priest comes to Ad's house and asks him to tell the story. Ad describes the wounds caused by Annabelle, and the priest decides to do the exact same thing. He throws the doll into a corner and says, "The power of God is greater than you. You can't do anything to me." Ad had warned him not to do that, but the priest didn't listen. On his way back home, he has a horrific accident and ends up in the hospital. When he gets discharged, he calls Ad and says, "You were right. I shouldn't have touched Annabelle. When I was driving home, I saw Annabelle sitting on the back seat of my car, and I lost control out of fear." Number 4. The Deok Box. The story of the Deok Box starts with a man who owned an antique shop. He acquires this box from a family, which was originally meant for an old woman. This old woman was one of the survivors of the Holocaust and managed to escape alive. Her granddaughter sells the box to this man. He has a bad feeling about the box and wants to return it, but they repeatedly refuse to take it back. The man puts the box in the basement of his shop. One day, as he is leaving the shop, his assistant calls him and tells him that she hears the sound of objects breaking from the basement and wanted to escape, but the doors were locked. Some time passes, and the buyer of the box doesn't suspect anything, but strange events keep happening to them, like bulbs bursting and electricity going up and down, and a strong smell like cat urine fills the whole space there. This person starts giving the box as a gift to different people in his family, but everyone returns it to him because not only does the foul smell of the cat bother them, but also bad things and physical illnesses happen to them, and they all start having nightmares. Months go by, and this person opens the box and sees that life is written in Hebrew on the stone inside the box. There are 2 strands of hair, 2 coins, a wine glass, and a rose alongside it. He doesn't pay attention to these items, cleans the box, and takes it as a gift for his mother's birthday. His mother says that when she took the box, it felt like a cold breath came out of it, as if it was pure evil, and right there she has a stroke. At this point, this person finally realizes what the story is about. After this incident, he puts the box up for sale, and whoever takes it becomes ill and returns it. Finally, they go to the same granddaughter of the old woman from whom they took it, and she explains to them that during the Holocaust, her grandmother and her friend summoned a spirit. And at that time, during the summoning, a spirit told them, "I will teach you how to bring me into the world of humans." They decided to bring the spirit into this world and trap it in a box. As soon as the spirit is summoned, they cannot imprison it, and they send them to Nazi camps. But then, the girl escapes from the camp, finds the box, and keeps the spirit trapped inside until her death. Now, this box is in a museum. Wait for the last possessed entity, which in my opinion is the scariest of all. Number 3, the rock chair. This chair belonged to a murderer named Thomas. Thomas killed his own father because he sat on this chair without permission. Before he was executed, he cursed anyone who sat on this chair, saying, "I curse anyone who sits on this chair." From that day until today, anyone who sat on that chair died. For a while, many soldiers sat on this chair because it was inside a barracks, and soldiers would go there often, and every soldier who sat on it would be killed in war. Since then, the chair has been taken to a museum and attached to the wall so that no one can sit on it, because anyone who sits on it dies. Number 2, it's a statue, but actually a devil worship idol. One day, a young boy was walking in nature when he got lost and came across a circle filled with strange things. In the middle of the circle stood this statue with a frightening appearance. The boy immediately felt a sense of dread, his heart racing, and he wanted to get out of there as quickly as possible. Suddenly, a person appeared and asked him how to get out of there. Without answering, the person pointed to a spot with their finger, and the boy, terrified, fled in the direction indicated. When the boy went to his friends and told them the story, they told him to go to Ed and Lorraine. Ed went and found the statue, explaining that it was a devil worship idol, and the person the boy saw was a devil-worshipping priest. After 3 or 2 days of bringing the statue home, Ed's wife suddenly starts behaving strangely and collapses. They rush her to the hospital, and for 3 days, she continues to have episodes of strange behavior, but then suddenly, without any explanation, Lorraine recovers and feels fine. When they return home, the demonic presence becomes stronger because they brought the statue, and with black magic, it tries to warn them and bring this calamity upon them. If you have enjoyed Top 5 so far, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Number 1. The possessed doll named Robert. This story is about a doll named Robert that is possessed by an entity. Robert has a terrifying appearance, but contrary to its frightening looks, the children who own this doll would become infatuated with it. A film called Cult of Chucky was made based on this doll, Robert. It all started 100 years ago in 1900 when one of the household staff gave Robert as a gift to a boy named Gene. Gene quickly fell in love with Robert to the point that he would constantly talk to the doll and take it everywhere. After a while, Gene's parents started witnessing strange occurrences. For example, they would hear what seemed like another person responding to Gene during his long conversations with Robert. They even witnessed the doll moving from one place to another without anyone touching it. Eventually, the events took a more terrifying turn. At night, Gene would scream, and when his parents rushed to his room, they would find everything in disarray, with Gene pointing at Robert, claiming that the doll had caused it all. The fear escalated to the point where they locked Robert in a trunk and sealed it shut. For many years, they would hear eerie laughter coming from the attic. Gene grew up, got married, and it seemed like he was once again drawn to Robert. He became so obsessed with the doll that he would place it in front of the bed and sleep beside it. His spouse became terrified of the situation, but Gene loved Robert so much that he would even physically harm his wife without remembering doing so. Years passed, and both Robert and his wife passed away. A new family moved into the house with a young daughter, and all the events started repeating themselves. Later, they discovered why this doll was possessed. Earlier, I mentioned that one of the staff members had given the doll as a gift, but in reality they were slaves, and Gene's parents were notorious for mistreating their slaves, especially Gene's mother. It turns out that the doll was cursed using black magic by the enslaved individuals, and then it was given as a gift. Now Robert resides in a museum. Thank you for being with me until the end of Top 5. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, do, so you don't miss the next video, because it is about people who have supernatural powers.